Hello, everyone. Tony here from Prospect CRM, and obviously today, what I'm going to do is take you through Prospect CRM, our Unleashed integrated CRM solution, which we're kind of taking a slight glimpse at now, and hopefully give all of you a really good idea about kind of what the system does, how it benefits Unleashed customers specifically, but also, customers of every other system as well. We integrate to a number of accounting packages and inventory systems alongside Unleashed. And if any of you have any questions that you'd like to flag throughout, please feel free to use the chat. And what I'll probably do is come to all of those questions at the end. And kind of something that I always like to establish is there's no such thing as a stupid question here. I think particularly when you're looking at software, right? Can be quite complex. Every business has their nuances, use cases, specific questions to them. So feel free to fire any questions in the chat. And like I mentioned, what I'll do is I'll revert back to those later on today and run through them. So in terms of kicking us off today, what I'm going to do is go for a very short PowerPoint, which we have here. And then I'll jump into the Unleashed integrated system we have and hopefully give you a pretty decent idea about the platform. But like I say, please use the question box if you've got anything you wanna jump in with, and I'll make sure I revert to all of those at the end. And what I'll also do later on is provide you some of my personal contact details, so you can maybe just reach out directly to me and we can have a brief discussion about your particular requirements. So let's get into the PowerPoint side of things before we go ahead and jump into the system. So there is a old photo of me, and what I'll do is I'll take my video off the screen and then bring myself back onto the screen a little bit later on. So that's a very old photo of myself, probably about 6-7 years old. I've been working for the company for 6 to 7 years, working with Unleashed customers for about 6 to 7 years as well. Sold the first Unleashed integrated system myself back in 2017, which feels like a slight lifetime ago, really. But quite nice for you all to know, I suppose, that we've been working for Unleashed for that long. We've been owned by the same company as Unleashed for about 2.5 years now. And we have thousands of customers using Unleashed and Prospect together, which is obviously just reassuring in itself, right? So why is Prospect so perfect for Unleashed customers? So we work with a very particular type of business. All of our customers will sell physical products to other businesses. Hence why they probably have an inventory system like Unleashed sometimes. So it's a real niche in regards to the CRM world, and I'll explore that point in a little bit more detail in a moment. But here we've got just one of our Unleashed and Prospect customers and kind of one of their testimonials. Good Culture Kombucha, so like a drinks company, if you will. And we've got their CEO here, Dennis Kelleher. Since we started using Prospect CRM in the last 12 months, our sales have doubled. Now, that might sound like a bit of a fantastic review, if you like, or maybe an anomaly, but actually, I think you'll kind of see once we dig into the first couple of features in the demonstration side of things today, that's actually a very real possibility, because our system kind of analyzes your customer data and kind of gives you really obvious return on investment. But again, that'll make a little bit more sense once we jump into the system side of today's webinar. And in terms of how we compare in the market to some other CRMs out there, some of you might have looked at products like these or maybe even used product like these today. And we're quite different to other CRMs, and I'll explain why in this slide. So we've got Salesforce, Pipedrive, and HubSpot, and essentially a breakdown of their customer bases, so their markets, right? And their markets are all very similar. And actually, the top 3 industries for all of these companies are exactly the same, just in different orders. But the top 3 industries for all of those CRM companies is software companies, information and tech services, and advertisement companies, which is no major coincidence or fluke, those are the industries that are the most proactive in adopting CRM, which I'm sure all of you can probably imagine. A software company will have a CRM system themselves from day one, won't they? So it's a really obvious focus for kind of all of those CRM companies out there. Now, we certainly work in a market that is a little bit less proactive in adopting CRM, but we do exceptionally well in our market in terms of our close rates and our customer success. And that's because our customers require very different functionality to what these types of businesses would need. And there's kind of two key areas where we look at CRM and I suppose sales overall differently. And the first area where we look at kind of sales and marketing a little bit differently to other platforms is thinking about these industries. It's all very one-time sale. If you're a software company or an internet business, they will sell to their customers once, and they probably won't sell to them again. And again, all of these industries are kind of project-based work. So repeat business and repeat selling isn't very relevant in any of these industries. And therefore, none of these CRMs really look at it. But repeat business and repeat selling and kind of customer retention, if you like, is really crucial to all of our customers. So that's an area of selling that we look at much differently to every other system. And I suppose the second area where we're kind of analyzing trends a little bit differently as well is, again, just using our common sense. All of these markets will pretty much sell one product or service, or one or two products or services, right? Whereas our customers tend to sell hundreds, sometimes thousands of product SKUs. So we'll also really look at cross-sell opportunity and perhaps identifying what our customers could be buying, which they're not, and obviously looking to increase our customers' value from there. But I will explain and show you how Prospect really assists with those two areas in today's webinar. There's a few of our reviews in various marketplaces, and we do okay, to say the least. We've also got really nice awards for a CRM system, like highest user adoption, most implementable. And I think those are very much a result of the level of integration going on with Unleashed. Your system's very usable from day one because it has all of your data in there as soon as you connect Unleashed to that platform. To kind of summarize my previous points, though, every CRM will promise you more customers, as will we. But what we're doing differently to the rest is we're really looking to maximize your customer lifetime value. And if we're able to, of course, do both of those things, we should achieve a decent level of sales growth and business growth, which is always the aim to a degree. Breaking that formula down slightly, getting more customers is going to be about attracting customers, selling to customers, and then closing a deal and attaining that first order, which, to be honest, most CRMs will look after okay. But every other CRM aside from Prospect, once you've got that first order from a customer and you've brought them through that initial pipeline and workflow, they won't do a massive amount for you. They'll look after communication, notes, do a little bit of reporting, as every CRM should. But in terms of really helping you maximize those customers and sell to them again and again and again, they won't do a huge amount. But that's where we're a little bit different. We really want to make sure that you onboard your customers and you become an integral part of their processes. And then maximizing their lifetime value is all about maximizing order frequency, increasing order value as much as we can, and of course, making sure we retain all of your customers as well. But in terms of how you can do all 7 of these things in Prospect, from attract all the way down to attention, we hopefully make it pretty straightforward as we've got our growth playbook here, which is essentially a plan of action of how you can use Prospect to grow your business. So these mint color tiles in the middle are kind of different tasks and things you can do in the system using all the features that Prospect boasts. And if you're looking to improve your customer retention performance, then these features will really help you do that. If you're looking to increase how often your customers are buying, then these tools will be a big win, and kind of so on and so forth. And hopefully we can piece all of this together to really drive growth. Now, to put some statistics behind that conversation, all the businesses that adopted Prospect in 2022 saw their turnover on average increase by 34% in 2023, which, of course, we're immensely proud of. But I think that's very much due to the fact that we are working with such a particular type of business. If we began working with advertisement agencies and management consultancies and software companies, and our interests become spread as a business, then we wouldn't be able to kind of yield such good results for all of our customers. But because the system and ultimately our company is so specialized in what we do, those results are more than realistic. And I'll just show you one final slide here before we jump into this kind of fake unleashed integrated system I've got. And that is the RFM analysis slide, which is a pretty key tool for our customers in maintaining their customers' order frequency, buying habits, and also making sure your customer retention is in a kind of perfect spot, really, as well. But to quickly explain RFM, it's a analytical model used in repeat business and repeat selling. I studied it very loosely in my business degree. We've just brought it to the modern world and the software world because all our customers, of course, do repeat business and repeat selling, and therefore this is very useful to them. And what RFM stands for is recency, frequency, monetary value. So looking at how recently your customers have bought, how frequently they buy from you, and the money they spend per order. Your customers are placed into these different segments. Champion customers, loyal customers, right the way down to customers who are at risk, you can't lose, or are hibernating. And I think naturally, this is where your interest peaks a lot of the time in the lower segments, because maybe that's where the most immediate value will come from. For example, your at-risk customers spent big money. They purchase often from you, but they haven't purchased in a long time. So that's obviously a group of customers that if we can reignite their spending with us, will be a really fruitful activity for us. But the system and the RFM model in particular are giving us that indication, that direction, if you like. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I've been working with Unleashed customers for 7 years now. And I think what most businesses are doing before a system like this is you're almost relying on that light bulb moment of, I spoke to Joe Bloggs 2 or 3 weeks ago. I should probably give him a call. But getting that perfectly off the top of your head when you're responsible for 20, 50, 100 accounts is nigh on impossible. So this model will really give you that direction and give you the insight and almost prioritize your days and weeks for you. And we'll jump out of PowerPoint now and we'll go into the system, which is obviously going to be a little bit more fun. So your RFM model is here right off the bat on the dashboard, as you can see, alongside quite a bit more data too, which I can begin to explain. For a quick bit of context though, I'm in a fake system called That's My Jam, not a real business, but a hypothetical business that sell jam to bakeries, stores, restaurants, you name it. And we've got all of the data in the system, and ultimately this is coming from Unleashed. As soon as you connect Prospect and potentially your Prospect trial to Unleashed, you see all of this instantly, right? It doesn't require years or months to build this data up. It is all just imported as soon as you connect the two systems. And what I can see at the moment is how much we've brought in this month versus last month. We can see our customers in the RFM model and how many we have in each segment. We can see all of our customers who should have ordered by now, which the missing orders report tells me. My customers growing in spend versus declining in spend. And also all my customers I haven't spoke to in a month or 2 weeks or 2 months, whatever that looks like for your business, you would just amend it to fit that kind of rhythm, if you like. Now, a little bit of context before I jump into some of these reports. This database isn't really looked after. So some of the financial figures are quite wild, such as doing 4,339% of what we did last month, only 7 days into November. It's a pretty good indication that some of the figures will be all over the place. But in terms of the webinar today, it will be just fine. And, for example, if I click on this report, I can see all the orders coming from Unleashed. There's one just 22 minutes ago, and kind of so on and so forth as well. And I suppose the reason we've had such a good month is because Mary Berry placed a 18 million pound order, roughly. Going back to the dashboard and touching on the RFM model now. So as soon as I open up one of these tiles, I get some pretty strong data points here. So in terms of our at-risk customer, who is another Mary Berry, we can see when their first order was in February 19, when their most recent order was January 23, and the number of orders they've placed in total. And what you could even expose on this as well, if you wanted to, is their average order size. And that's some pretty powerful data kind of straight off the bat. Now, what I'll quickly explain in regards to the RFM model is there's no one size fits all RFM model. Okay. So, for example, a customer won't become at risk because they've not bought in 18 months or so. What the RFM model does is it compares your customers to your customers and then we'll put them in a segment based on those trends. Okay. So some of your customers might buy every 2 months on average, and in another business, the customers might buy every year on average. So it will just compare apples to apples. And your RFM model will be accustomed to your business as soon as you connect it to Unleashed. But this customer in this instance is at risk because they haven't bought in about 18 to 20 months. But then our champion customers are going to look quite different. They've all bought in the last kind of 2 to 3 weeks here, which we can see. And we could, toggle this to say who's bought most recently versus who's bought a longer time ago. We can see the account manager coming from Unleashed as well. And again, the number of orders they've placed in total. What I can also do is just jump into one of these customers by clicking here, of course, or I could search for a customer in the search everything bar, where of course you can search for everything. But let's just jump into Bill's Kitchen. Why not? And in terms of this customer, we can see they're a champion customer and they ordered 2 days ago. We kind of knew that already. But we can see what they spent in the last 365 days, 124K. In the 365 days prior to the most recent, they spent 34K. So that's obviously quite a drastic increase of 250 odd percent. And then the system will also compare the financial year performance versus the previous financial year. You, of course, just set your financial year in our system to get the date ranges correct, which is a 2-second job. We've also got loads of fields here we could use to categorize our customers, such as their territory, their industry, and such. And some of you will like these fields and some of you won't like these fields. So just so you're aware, you can customize the system and get rid of certain fields, create new fields, so you can kind of group your customers as you wish. The two kind of key reasons you'd be looking to categorize customers would be for either reporting reasons, to maybe see how a certain section of customers are performing based on revenue, margin, average margin percentage. And the second area that you'd probably use categorization for would be for maybe email marketing purposes. Maybe you want to target a group of customers in a certain fashion. And again, those custom fields can be used for those reasons. All of the addresses come through from Unleashed, which is super important because you can actually create orders in here and push them into Unleashed. So we obviously need all of the addresses. Likewise, the contacts will come through from Unleashed so we can communicate with Billy, Max, Amber, etc. in our system. And that is a two-way sync on that as well, if you'd like it to be. We've got all of the quotes we've sent to Bill's Kitchen here as well. And actually what you would also see is an orders tab as well to see the kind of confirmed orders for this customer also. We just don't have it in this system because sometimes we would present this system to non-Unleashed users, in which case they may not have that screen in some instances. Your sales ledger page would actually read Unleashed rather than sales ledger. And in here, you'd see some pretty crucial detail like the price list they might be on in Unleashed, their discount terms, their credit limit, their payment terms, We bring all of that through and respect all of that data from Unleashed for kind of crucial reasons, really. And just beneath that, we have the sales transaction screen, showing us the most recent products this customer's bought, line by line. All the products are coming from Unleashed as well, of course. We can see this line hasn't been invoiced yet, but you can also see some data like the order number, the margin value, margin percentage. You can hide this sort of data from certain users in our system too. And we, of course, bring through the invoice number and the invoice date on lines that have been invoiced. And we don't bring it through for lines that haven't been invoiced. We then have the sales analysis screen, which shows us the fluctuation in a customer spend each month, quite literally. And I could zoom into a certain time frame as well if I like to. And kind of see the fluctuations in Bill's Kitchen spend here. And you could also expand this out to see exactly what the customer's spending month on month. This customer's placed some forward orders for 2025, hence why we have some values for the upcoming year too. Over here, you've got all of the order numbers and the dates and values attached to those. Again, just to give you an idea of the fluctuations in the customer spend. And by kind of glancing at these two reports together, you get a pretty quick indication for the direction a customer's moving in. This customer's probably placing slightly less orders than maybe they were before, which I can kind of tell by the proximity between these bars, if you like. But their order size might be slightly increasing as well. That could be another argument to that point. But overall, the customer's moving in a pretty good direction. In terms of where their money goes by the product SKU, we also break that down just beneath these two reports, and you can see that here. So 36.4% of their spend, or about 45k, has been on the strawberry jam. A lot of strawberry jam. And then you've got a kilogram of blueberries here, which is 20% of their spend, or 25k in value. And again, you can expand that out to see exactly what they're spending by the product SKU here. So for the strawberry jam, they spent about 45k. They've ordered 13.3 thousand units across 212 orders. And you can search for products in our system as well, again, in the search everything bar. But we can also just dive into a product via this link. The product image will come through from Unleashed. You'll also see an open in Unleashed link on the product. And you would see this same link on every single order and every single customer as well, for what it's worth. We also bring through product information, which is very important, like the list price, the cost price to us as a business, how many we've got in stock, and we've even got a buildable quantity here. So using our bills and materials, we could actually build another 6,300 or so units of this product. We also have a purchase order for this product landing in 5 days' time too. So you can even see the stock coming in as well as what's already in stock, all coming from Unleashed, of course. We then have sales transaction information on a product. So we sold this item on 519 orders, selling 141,000 units, and the product's made us 450k in revenue. I could also change this report to look at a certain time frame. Likewise, I could also show you margin as well. In terms of sales analysis on a product, we can see who the top buyers are. And Bill's Kitchen are out there in front by quite some way. And we can also see how well a product does each month as well, just beneath that. Pretty consistent products, but this report, I think, speaking from experience, can sometimes help with a little bit of stock planning too, if you have any kind of seasonal items in your business. And I suppose the kind of key premise of going through all of that was to show you some of the reports out of the box. Some of them might prove quite useful and quite powerful right away, but mainly really to kind of establish the integration going on with Unleashed, right? It's everything that we could possibly want from Unleashed will come through. And obviously the RFM model is pretty powerful right off the bat. And honestly, most businesses are kind of blown away with the analysis and detail they get in there in their RFM model. Um, and you're more than welcome to take out a trial and speak to someone like me and go through that with your customer detail yourself too. But just kind of one more report from myself, or perhaps two more from myself on the dashboard before we jump into some communication, and then I'll show you how to create an order and push it into Unleashed as well. We've just got our customer trend and missing order reports here. So we'll kick off with customer trend. It basically shows us all our customers potentially growing or declining and groups them all together for us. Now, you can see what they spent in the last 365 days versus the previous, and then that obviously gives you a difference figure. So these three customers are increasing in spend by quite some way, but unfortunately, the Great British Bake Off Kitchen here are in a massive decline. They've obviously found a more suitable provider. Maybe Mary Berry is working with them direct because she's buying an awful lot from us, and they no longer do as an option. And you could obviously dive into the customer and begin to explore some of that data if you'd like to. But maybe someone needs a word with Mary here. So that customer trend report will always give you a pretty quick indication of ensuring your customers are moving in the right direction. And you could maybe just decide to look at the declining ones if perhaps you want to identify where some of the lower hanging fruit might be in your customer base. But I think another report that really actually helps the RFM model and the customer trend report almost look after themselves to a degree is the missing orders report. Which, to be quite frank, our customers get really excited by, or as excited as you're going to get over a CRM system anyway. So let's take a quick look. Now, this report will show you all your customers who should have ordered by now. And this business has 7 customers who should have ordered by now. And if we were able to get the average order size from each of these customers just once, so we just need one order from each of these customers, then we'll make 24K in revenue. And to be totally honest with you, that number is super normal for me to see. Most businesses, when I show them their missing orders report, are kind of missing about 20 to 200K in orders. Because the system obviously defines that in such detail. But in regards to how the report is working, it's really complex in how it's built, but it's really easy to understand, which is all that any of us need to care about. So if we take the example of Casa Bellissimo here, they were ordering from us every 5 days on average, but it's really strange for them not to buy in 11 days. And now they've not bought in 49. So that's clearly a customer that should have bought by now. We also have their average order size here of 1.8K. And what you could then do is just, dive into that customer and you'll be able to see they should have ordered by now. And if you click on the details, it will take you to their sales analysis screen and you'll kind of see their buying habits. So they last bought, I guess, 49 days ago, September 16th, but they bought twice in September, twice in August, twice in July. You get the idea. They buy from us 2 or 3 times every single month if we kind of look historically here, but they haven't bought now in nearly 2 months. So that's why the system flags up to you that they should have bought by now. And it is truly a gold mine for a lot of businesses and makes them a lot of money, which is never a bad thing. And I think over time as well, your customers feel quite valued in the process because you're reaching out to them at the right time rather than every 3 weeks here and then 2 months later on another occasion. And it also gives you kind of outstanding peace of mind that all your customers are being looked after and serviced as you'd like, which you can, I suppose, never really put a price on. But this is the entire business's, portfolio of customers who should have bought. But what we can also do in our system is you can assign the account managers from Unleashed. And here's all of the employees in this hypothetical business. You might actually recognize some of these names as Unleashed employees like Josie, Matt, Mike, Ollie. They all work for Unleashed. But if I decided I wanted to look at Amber's customers, the entire dashboard compromises. So Amber is just looking at her customers now. So she can see her customers who should have bought, her customers within the RFM model, and kind of so on and so forth. And will give Amber a real sense of direction. You can even set the system up so that Amber can only access her customers in our system, if that is also a preference of yours. If anyone's got any questions, please just fire them in the chat. But I'm sure you've been able to understand everything thus far. So you can also hold off on that if you'd prefer. What I'll do now for you all is I'll just jump into a little bit of communication, task management, and then I'll create an order and push it into Unleashed, like I say. So the lady we're going to go to is Michelle. And Michelle Jury is a lady who works at Browns of Ipswich. They can search for somebody's name and find their record right away. If we then go into Michelle's record, you can see we're clearly on Michelle's record. She's working at Browns of Ipswich, and they're actually part of a company group called the Browns Group. And we can come down here and we can see hypothetically myself, the support user, that is me in this system. I've got a task due 11 days ago with Michelle. And if we look at the notes here, we can see there's actually an opportunity record being worked on. And my task was to send Michelle the intro email. We can see that task just there. And then what we could do is we could write some notes and post them, or we could assign a task. Now, if I write some notes and post them, it's fairly obvious what happens, right? So let's go ahead and jump into task management. And I will just copy and paste the same task because I lack imagination. And I'm going to set myself this task here, but you could obviously write whatever you like in this box. And then we can decide who the task is for. So these are all my colleagues in the system. Now I'll just set a task for me. And I could also select a date for this task, but I will leave it on for today. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and click save. And then a few things are going to happen. First of all, everyone can now see Tony's working on this today. Likewise, everyone can see that Tony set himself a task for today, and here's what he has set himself. That also appears in my task list in today's tasks because I set it for today. Sadly, I have 182 overdue. I promise you that is just because this is a fake database. I don't have quite as many overdue tasks in my real system, and I've got no tasks in the future upcoming. If you assign a task to a colleague, they will also be notified via email as well. So they'll be kind of informed immediately once you or somebody else sets them a task. Then what you can do, of course, is just log into your system, go to your task for today, and then we will go ahead and send Michelle the intro email. So to do that, I'll just select Michelle's email on the right-hand side, select the intro email template, and press send. Bosh, it's done. It takes me kind of 2 or 3 seconds. And with these templates, you can set them up to use merge fields, of course. So it's taken Michelle's name, it's got Michelle's business name in there too. And you can even kind of include your business name or any other data you'd like to merge into this by all means. This email template's also been set up to have an attachment kind of pre-attached to it. So what a lot of our customers will do is they might send out a product catalog or a price list with their intro email, and you can pre-configure that to be attached to a certain template. And you can delete the attachment should you need to also. And then, of course, just press send. Email's been sent, and it arrives in the activity log as well. So, everyone can see that I've sent this email. Likewise, if I come back to this record in a week's time, I know exactly where I was at, rather than having to sift through my sent items and my inbox to find out what I'm up to. Likewise, if you send an email from our system, it will actually save into your Gmail, Outlook, whatever you're all using. Finally, we track email sent from the system too. So if the customer was to open this email or click on links in that email, we'd see all of this here. Okay. So that's kind of tasks and communication boxed off. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to another gentleman in the system called Keith, and he works at Purple Trading. Now, the difference between Keith and Michelle is Keith and Purple Trading are a potential customer, whereas Browns of Ipswich and Michelle were actually a customer of ours. Okay. And the reason I'm deciding to create a quote/order against Keith is I can just show you a tiny bit more Unleash integration by doing it this way. Now, what I'm going to do for Keith is I'm going to create a quote/sales order. Now, apology for explaining the obvious, but I always do this. If you've agreed an order with somebody that you just need to push into Unleash, then go for a sales order. But if you're going to go ahead and create a quote, which is then going to be accepted or rejected, then go for the quote option, right? Pretty straightforward. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a quote because I can still process an order from that screen, and I'll kind of just kill two birds with one stone and show you both a sales order and the quote within this quote record here. So just to kick off, I'm going to give this quote a title, and I'm going to call it a November stock order. I can assign a salesperson to this if I'd like to, and we'll go for myself. This based on allows you to create template orders. So particular products at particular quantities at particular prices, if that ever seems useful. Our customers often do this when they're trying to get rid of a certain product out of their stock line. You can kind of do a promotion towards it, or maybe you're kind of doing a seasonal product as well, in which case that can be quite handy. You can even select which warehouse you want to take the stock from in case you have numerous warehouses in Unleashed. And you can select the appropriate price band for that customer. Your customers will already be default set to their Unleashed price list if you use them. But if you've got a potential customer in here, you can actually place them on one of your Unleashed price lists for the sake of a quote/order, because at this point they don't exist in Unleashed, but we can still put them on one of those pricing structures that we already have in play. Now that we've kind of brushed over those fields, let's go ahead and create a quote/order for Keith here. Now, what's going to come up first is the top 5 most popular products for that customer. That's what you'll see initially. So these are, Purple Trading's top 5 products. And we can see the amount we've got in the Bristol warehouse, which is the warehouse we selected when we created the quote, and actually the amount we've got in total too. So let's go for some of that strawberry jam. Now, this system's been customized a little bit, guys, so bear with me. You don't usually see the margin value in the extended description there, but someone would have asked to see that, so we can expose it. And if you do want to include the margin value on that line, then you can do that too. But let's just keep it at the default settings for now. So instead of using some of the top 5 products here, I can also, open up a search, and I can search for products like part of the word chocolate. And I've got one product that kind of falls into that remit here. And what I'll do is I'll add 10 units of that, and I'll add that to the order. I could also search by my Unleashed product categories if that's easier, or I could search by SKU. If you don't want to use the search screen, you can look at recently purchased, and that will literally show you the customer's recent orders, including the order date and the recent price that they paid for that product. This screen can come in handy in those instances where someone just would like to know what they got last week. You could, tell them quite easily. And then you've got popular items, which again is the top items for that customer, top to bottom. So I think all screens have their use cases, and you'll kind of probably stumble across one that becomes your favorite. But let's do 15 units of the cherry jam, 10 units of the apricots, add and close, and now, of course, we've built a bit of an order. So somebody in this system has configured a upsell feature. Another bit of kit in our system here. So what someone's done is they've created this upsell link, which means whenever we add product A to a sale or to a quote, it will prompt us to add product B, which in this case is the sugar. And it actually has a bit of a ratio going on too. So for every one of these, we should add two of these. Now I could skip this if I wanted to as a salesperson, but what this is telling me is, management or, my boss maybe would like me to sell the sugar alongside the apricots. So another useful feature for some of you that I guess I've kind of stumbled across here, but that's what that is doing. In this case, I will skip it. And now we've built this order. Now, if we were content with this order and we just needed to push it into Unleashed because we've already agreed it with the customer, then I'll just press confirm and it will go into their Unleashed account. It's as simple as that. But if they're a potential customer and you would like to create their account in Unleashed, we can also do that too. So the system's asking me, would I like to create an account in Unleashed and push their first order alongside it? I would select yes, and the rest would be history, I suppose. So you can convert those potential customers into customers as well without having to double enter data anywhere, which is obviously nice. And that's a sales order, really. It's as simple as that. But to send a quote, you can just select Keith's email on the right-hand side. That's actually my email, of course. And this system is configured with a delivery charge as well. Now, that is optional. You don't have to configure delivery charges, but you can. Now, if any of you want to drop me an email, then that's my email. Feel free to take it down. And I'll be more than happy to give you a call later today, tomorrow, to discuss any other questions if you'd rather not use the chat today. Likewise, if you'd like me to set up an Unleashed Integrated trial for you, I'd be more than happy to. But to jump back into the demonstration side of things, I can just select my quote template for my quote and click send. Again, doesn't take me any time at all, as the quote's already there as a PDF. I don't need to tinker with it. And usually just click send and move on, right? But for the sake of the demo, I will download this to give you a bit of an idea of what we can do. Now, this is a pretty shoddy looking quote document, to say the least. And actually, we take care of an entire onboarding process, and it comes with the system. So we'll look after user training, system configuration, including the creation of your quote document. So if you've got a quote document you already love, then just send it to us and we'll add it to your system. That actually comes with the system alongside an entire onboarding process. It's included within the price if you've got any kind of questions around that. But this document anyway, you can see it uses merge fields. It takes all the customer's information, today's date, the expiration date, and that is obviously the order that we built. Now, you can include product images, extended descriptions in these tables, and you perhaps wouldn't include discount if you're going to do 0 on every single line. But you could in instances where you are discounting as well. And obviously, we'll design this to look completely on brand for you. But what is pretty cool about our quotes is the customer can just approve it themselves by clicking approve. And if that was to happen, you'll get taken to an order portal. Your company logo will appear here, and the customer can just input a PO and click approve. Now, if that was to happen, the salesperson would get an email saying, "Hi, Tony. Keith Gooding at Purple Trading has confirmed order 1881, and we've pushed it through to Unleashed for you." That would all be automated from there. And the order would go straight into Unleashed. Now, that's obviously a really slick process, and you don't have to use approve and decline buttons for what it's worth, but you can. Maybe you decide to use it in some instances and not all instances. But for what it's worth, they're lovely emails to receive when customers decide to just go ahead without you necessarily lifting a finger. So pretty cool functionality for sure. Probably just two more features I'd quickly like to touch on. If I just go back to Casa Bellissimo here for a second. We don't have the screen here, unfortunately, because the way the system is configured, but we can also set up a secondary connection to Zero and QuickBooks, which will bring through all your aged receivables reports from those systems. So within this system, you'd see all the sales data from Unleashed, but you'd also see which invoices have and have not been paid. You kind of have that 360 view of the account within Prospect. We connect to both Unleashed and then QuickBooks or Zero, right? And it just is there to kind of alleviate internal communications in your business. So you don't have to speak to your MD or your finance director to know what's been paid. You've got it all there for you and you can be a bit more self-sufficient. And then one final feature I'd just like to show you all is the Magic Matrix, which basically is the cross-selling side of things, which I touched on earlier. So here I've got all of my product categories from Unleashed. And we can create magic matrix categories in our system if your Unleashed categories aren't appropriate for this report. But here's my Unleashed product categories for now. And I could filter this just to look at my accounts maybe. I could also filter by RFM segment. And I can filter by industry and Unleashed customer type. So I can play with this quite a bit. But what this is telling me straight away is what products my customers are buying and what they're not buying. So if we take the example of Bill's Kitchen, who we looked at earlier, they're buying finished jam products from us, ingredients and jam accessories, whatever they are. And you can see they're aware of fruit flavored jam, jam palettes, and jam 2023, but they've not bought any of those products from us. And you can kind of see the color dots down here, which are indicating that. If you click on the green dots, you'll see what they bought in that category most recently. And then there's, a couple other color dots to address as well. So we're currently working on a sale in relation to ingredients with Brown's Coffee Groups, which is why they have a blue dot signaling an opportunity record. If I click on that blue dot, I can see the opportunity here. And if none of those things are happening, they're simply unaware of a product. Now, I think the only thing we haven't really addressed here is what makes them aware. So one of two things. First of all, we might have spoke to Anna Busby's cafe about finished jam, so we manually marked them to be aware after that conversation. The second area where people might become aware of a product is if you sent out a marketing campaign advertising maybe fruit flavored jam to all of these customers, and then they all move to aware. And for what it's kind of worth, if we go to Anna Busby's cafe, we'll actually go to somebody else. We'll go to Bill's Kitchen. In the sales analysis section, beneath these reports we touched on earlier, you do have a magic matrix breakdown of how they're getting on with each product group from us. And obviously the long-term goal and vision here is that we sell as many categories to our customers as we can. Their order value will probably just naturally increase. And they then become more sticky as a customer because they are reliant on us for more of their products, right? So a really useful and powerful tool in that regard as well. Now, truth be told, I have given hopefully quite a good overview of the system, but I could probably speak to all of you till 7 o'clock tonight and have plenty to say thereafter as well. But I'm sure none of you would like to listen to me for that long. So what I'll do quickly now is I'll quickly just offer up again. Please use the chat if you've got any questions, and I'll be happy to answer those now. But what I'll just kind of conclude with is jumping onto our website. And I'll also quickly just show you my LinkedIn in case that's kind of your preferred method to get in touch. But here I am. And if you'd like to drop me a message on LinkedIn, please feel free to do so. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Feel free to connect, drop me a message, and I'll get back to you pretty promptly. And then over here is where you can take a free trial. So we've got our website here. And if you want to just take a free trial, you can do it in the top right-hand corner. That will then assign a sales opportunity to someone like me or one of my colleagues. And you can connect your system to Unleashed right away, or you can have us do it. Because like I mentioned earlier, We're owned by the same company as Unleashed, and we can connect your Unleashed system in a matter of seconds because I speak to the Unleashed team on multiple times throughout the day. And then we can run through a more particular demo to your requirements, kind of like we did today, but in relation to your customers, your data, and maybe where the opportunity lies within your business, which I think is just a great experience and learning curve, if nothing more, even if you decided that prospect wasn't right for you. But presuming there's no more questions yet, that would probably be it from me. The final thing I'll just do one more time over is if you would like to reach out to me directly, um, just go ahead and fire me an email. Here's my email here. So if you'd like to reach out and have me give you a call or would like to organize a demonstration with myself for this week or next, then please feel free to do so. We are running a bit of a discount in November, which we can obviously explain in a little bit more detail. Should you book out a demo and kind of discuss where we're at collaboratively. But again, presuming there's no questions, thanks everybody so much for your time this afternoon. Me and the team look forward to chatting to you, running through stuff like this in a little bit more detail, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.